Rob.
Hello everyone, welcome to Rob's Rebellion segment here on Rob's Rogues. We're taking a look at the Star Wars Black Series Han Solo and Tauntaun. Now, right off the bat, this is not my figure. I picked this up for a good friend of mine, ODC, that's me. We were chatting in our Rogue Show log about, hey, if anybody sees Captain Phasma out there, let us know. If I see one, I'll get you one. That whole entire spiel that we're all doing. And we walked by a GameStop, and a GameStop that I don't normally go to quite often because it's actually in like Amish country, and right next door to it is a Kmart and a Walmart. And my wife and I were out driving around on Sunday, and we thought, oh, we'll kind of stop out here. And I walked by GameStop. I thought, oh, sometimes they have Black Series figures in there, and I'll check. So I saw the 2-pack here and had sent a message to ODC, and he said, oh, check and see what the price of it is. Went back in, looked, it was $29.99. He was like, never mind. He's like, some places are selling them for $19. So now we left. He sent me a message back, and he's like, they have it on their website. See if they'll price match it. So I went back in, and I just took it up to the counter, and I was going to wait for them to ring it and see what the price came up was, and I was going to show them, hey, it's on your online store for, $19.99. And sure enough, that's what it rang up. And I asked the guy about it. I said, well, your price tag said this, and I'm fine with the price. And he said, there's an unannounced Star Wars sale going on just because of the new movie and the figures that are coming out. So check your local GameStops. Just because you see the price on the shelf does not necessarily mean that is what it's going to be. And if you kind of want to know, look on their website, because the merchandise that they have in the store, generally the correct price is online. So I say all of that long intro for I picked this up for him. I said, hey, I'll send this out to you Monday. And he said, well, hey, why don't you go ahead and review the figure? And I was like, oh man, I don't want to open your figure. He's like, no, that's fun. He's like, we've always been talking about wouldn't it be cool to, review the same figure sometime. So here we go. So ODC, that's me. Thank you very much for letting me be the first one to review your figure here. And I was kind of wanting to see what the Tauntaun was like and everything, so it's really cool that he's letting me review his figure first. So I'd like to say I'll put a link down here in the screen below of his review, but I obviously haven't set him to it yet, so maybe at some point when I see his review, I will put it down here, but then you might not know to go check back. So if you're watching ODC's review of this, or you had just watched it, that means he put a link in his video to this video, if that all makes sense. So the long intro out of the way, today we're taking a look at the Star Wars Black Series, the 6-inch Han Solo and the Tauntaun, which I don't have my tape measure here, but I'm guessing he's probably right at about probably 8 to 9 inches tall. So here's the old Black Series box. This came out in 2014, and I really like the back of this packaging. A nice big huge box here, and we have a scene from the movie that they kind of rendered a little bit, and it has this up here. Says when Han Solo's Tauntaun dies of exposure, he uses the beast's body to keep the badly wounded Luke Skywalker from freezing to death until the pair can be rescued. And I like that they put the quote here. This may smell bad, kid, but it'll keep you warm until I get the shelter up. And I thought they smelled bad on the outside. Very cool. And so there's the blue, like, Imperial lines that they had in the Death Star. Of course, this is made by Hasbro, and there's the Disney logo. So who would have thought we would have been having Star Wars figures made by Disney? So now that we got the intro out of the way, let's get these two out of package very carefully, and we'll get the review of the Star Wars Black Series Han Solo and Tauntaun. We'll be right back. All right, here is, I about said Hoth and the Tauntaun. Here is Han Solo in his Hoth gear and the Tauntaun. Maybe I should have had my white background here. I'm really impressed with this figure. Like I said, it was retailed for $29.98 at GameStop, but with their sale going on, it's $19.99 or $19.98 rather. So that's a price of a normal 6-inch black figure right now, and then you're basically getting the Tauntaun for free, or you're getting the Tauntaun for $20 and getting Han Solo for free. Either one, it's like buy one get one free. So this is a really, really good deal. I've been saying with the Black Series of figures, like, oh, I only really kind of want the Stormtroopers and maybe like a Han or a Luke, you know, just kind of cherry pick and be a little bit more frugal with my Star Wars action figure buying. And seeing this now in hand, I go, can I sweet talk the wife into one? Even if not, just to be able to review it here is just worth the price of admission. So this is really good. There are some things on this figure I did not expect it to be able to do, or little gimmicks like, okay, he's got his visor and he's got his binoculars. I can figure out how the binoculars are going to go on, but how am I going to get the visor over his face when his hood is there? We'll get into that. I'm even noticing right here there's a peg for his foot to be able to go into the stirrups. I just kind of push them in there. So let's go through. Let's take Han off the Tauntaun now that you've seen him there. So we'll set him off to the side, and we'll take a look at the Tauntaun first. Well, I had to adjust the camera here just so I could get everything all in frame here. So get a front shot of the Tauntaun. Really pretty cool. I love the detail work that they're putting into the Black Series figures, which Hasbro's been doing a good job with the sculpting of the figures. Sometimes the actual figure themselves and the plastic that they're choosing can be hit or miss. I think they're putting a lot of their money into the Star Wars figures as opposed to the Marvel Legends, but that's another rant for another time. This, however, is really, really good. He does seem a little bit on the hollow side. Not in a bad way. I mean, not that I think there's going to be guts or anything in here. And when I heard the hollowness of it, I thought, oh, maybe they've got the slit like the old Kenner figure where you could slip Luke in. No, unfortunately, it does not. So you can't recreate the scene of Han putting Luke in the Tauntaun. I think they probably could have done it, but from what I remember of the 80s figure, that there was this weird plastic lip that you kind of pushed it in, which, you know, it worked that you could fit the whole action figure in there, but it looked rather weird when you didn't have Luke Skywalker in the Tauntaun. So I like all of the detail here in the saddle, and it's sculpted really well that it allows the figure to be able to sit in. You can see, I mean, his leg fits right into this crease here, so it's not like he's riding weird on top of it. And his jacket really doesn't get in the way. Just like the little transmitter that we see Han using in the Empire Strikes Back is right here. This doesn't come off. Everything that's on here is sculpted on, so none of the backpacks or like the sleeping bag come off, the little pouch here. So sorry if I had that out of frame. I went back and looked at some of the movie scenes online, and you can see this little pouch that's on the Tauntaun that Han is on. There is the peg that I was talking about right there that will go into the peg hole in the foot. So that way, if he does happen to slide a little bit, you can get him pegged really well inside of the stirrup, which I think is just another attention. I wouldn't say not to detail, but to know that, hey, this particular figure has 2 peg holes, which I think is really kind of interesting. So if you want the foot farther up so it comes out through here, you can use the back peg hole, or you can have it in the front peg hole if you want to get him to kind of lean a little bit. But just the detailing in the fur, the toes are really well sculpted with the claw. The tail, I thought there might have been some articulation in the tail. It turns out that there is not. So, not that I'm disappointed by that, but I thought there might have been. You probably could have done it, but this is more for the stability of the figure. And it does have a little flat piece down here on the tail just so it sets a little bit nicer on your tail. The extra little talon back here. I mean, you don't see the Tauntaun very much in the movie at all, but I always liked it. Thought it was an interesting character. So let's get into the articulation of a Tauntaun. I wish I had the 1980s counterpart up here, but I do not. A friend of mine had it. I think I did have the Tauntaun. Maybe I do have it somewhere in a Star Wars box. Maybe we'll see it on another video. So the head rotates left to right. Can look up about that far. So it can look down just a little bit past eye level. So it's bending more. You can see it right here behind the strap on the neck. And it can rotate 360. And there's a little bit of a slight tilt. I think that's just due to the ball peg there. Tiny little arms, Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, to go up about that far, and they can go down more at a resting position. No in or out at all. Legs go forward. You hear a little pop right there as you go, oh no, you broke his figure. So it goes forward about that far, and it goes back. So if he wants to be aquatic and swim, where he has powers of flight, what does that do for you, Holmes? So apologize about that. Has a foot hinge. Does the Tauntaun have an ankle rocker? No, it doesn't, but can rotate around 360. There's a little pad. Look, even the pads on the bottom of the feet. Let's see if we can get in there. So the attention to detail is pretty cool. There's the product number if you want to see that for any reason. The little webbing in the toes. Really, really cool. The Tauntaun is done very, very well. And he sits really nice too, which is also, or stands rather, very well. As you can kind of see here. So you can get the foot down a little bit, get it in a little bit of a motion where, you probably can't tell, but I have a pair of scissors here. I have the scissors floating underneath the back of his tail. So you can get him in an upright position. Now with Haun on it, it does put a little bit of more weight into it, so you have to kind of get the legs to hinge back so he is resting fully on the table. But just displacing the weight a little bit, it does look like a very natural pose, and it's not like he's, resting like, this to try and, oh, he's in the saddle. It's a very natural the way he's sitting. So let's set the Tauntaun off to the side. Very, very cool. Echo 3 to Echo 7. Han, old buddy, can you read me? I think the figure looks really, really cool. I have the original Kenner version of this, and I always thought it was a really cool figure. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be really cool if the hood were to come off and you could kind of see him without the hood up all the time. So that was a part of the figure that I didn't realize. Looking at it in package, I didn't realize the hood was going to be able to come off. I thought, well, maybe it'll peel back a little bit. So now that I move this out, you can see that I've got the visor on. That is the one thing that I think is a little tricky to be able to do. For the sake of the review, I was trying to get it on a little bit quicker. I think I can be able to get the visor on him just a little bit better. The hood sits on here really well. I mean, the head does turn with it and everything like that. So there's a slit here in the back, which it's kind of bunched up. It was together a lot tighter without the visor on, so it just kind of lifts up. Come on, Han. Come on, Han, old buddy. So you can kind of see it's a little problematic with the visor on because it wants to take up. And I'm trying to do this in front of the camera. Come on. I said watch anything. There's going to be some part in this review where I'm going to be mad. I'm just going to be like, damn it, and throw the figure. There you go. So it's really kind of squishy. So you can have the visor kind of down like that, and then the helmet, or this will go back on. So that's kind of cool. So you kind of have it like that as I had it off frame. I apologize. You see it sets on a little bit better there, but it's spread out a little bit more because I have the binoculars on here and the visor. So I keep taking this thing off and on. So This is really kind of tight around the figure, which, I mean, you want it to be so the visor sets on a little bit more. I'm probably all out of frame here. Apologize about that. There we go. So that's what he looks like with the visor on normally. Really pretty cool. And this just goes right on up and over. Take a look at the detail on this. There's not much there. I was trying to look at the movie scene, and I thought there was something up front here, like there was a screen or it was clear. So I don't want to say this is inaccurate. Most of the things on the Black Series, they have it done correctly. So I am sure that this is exactly how it's supposed to be. You can see that's where the viewfinder is for Han Solo. So it's a little stiff. I'm kind of surprised it's not. I mean, it's soft and pliable. I would have liked it to be just a little bit more loose and not so rigid. It's almost like a purse, like, you know, maybe King Leia's purse around in it. So, but yeah, it's sculpted really well. It's not chintzy. Again, I just would have liked this to have been just a little bit softer. So we have the visor here, which you've got to take it up over the back part of the head first. And then, so there's the visor. I like the way this fits around the figure. And then we have Han Solo. So I like him in this. Then I thought, does this come off? I knew it didn't. But I saw this little space here in the back. And at first I thought, well, does this pop, the top pop off of it so you can get the visor on? I think this is just a separate piece that is sculpted that is put on top of it. But in the sculpting, they've recreated the movie in this action figure form very well, even down to his communicator on his wrist. Very accurate. And of course, I mean, I've been saying that, but everything will be. The colors on his uniform are done very well. The likeness to Harrison Ford there. This is the part that really kind of surprised me. His mole and his scar are exactly right. So I thought, wow, they have really knocked this out of the park. The eyes look really well. I know sometimes in figures, it's like, well, the figure looks good, but he's cross-eyed. I don't want to see cross-eyed. You can see the blue tint around the eye. It's done very, very well. This Black Series is just really, really stepping up their game in the action figure department, at least for, you know, what Hasbro is doing. They're dropping the ball in some other departments, but this Black Series, if this is where they're putting their time and their energy and their resources into it, then, you know, go for it. So the other thing I thought was kind of cool is the holster. I want to say the Bespin Luke Skywalker had a holster like this as well, that you could kind of clip this part of the holster so the gun doesn't come flopping out. But there's his blaster pistol. It's a little bent in package. It's just kind of what it is. It looks like it's kind of, the barrel is bent down just a little bit, but it's very pliable. A little hot water and cold water trick, and that'll stiffen right up. But the detail on this is very, very good. Done very, very well. Now let's get into the figure himself. So for the articulation in this guy, I'm really surprised in the articulation that he does have. And I was really hoping that he was going to be able to sit in the Tauntaun naturally, and he does, I think, due to the articulation that they gave him. So the head is on a ball joint and disc, so you get the rotation to the left and the right, can look down because of the disc, can look up really, really well. Maybe as to watch Luke take off. Can look down extremely well. Not a lot of figures are able to do that. With the hood on, his articulation in his head is a little minimal, but he can turn and all that stuff. The arms don't go up quite as far due to the way the jacket is sculpted. So this arm seems to go up a lot higher than this one does. I don't know if it's just in this particular figure. I tried monkeying with it. Again, this is not mine, so I didn't want to be the one that really forces that arm up. So I've got to believe, since this arm goes this high, I would have to think this arm does, and it just may be a stiff joint. But the arm does go all the way around. It kind of stops here and gets caught on the back part of the jacket, so you kind of got to move it out of the way. It has the single elbow bend, and then swivel at the elbow, which is an odd choice. A lot of us, I think, would like the double jointed elbow and have an actual bicep swivel, so you can get into more of a shooting pose, but it is what it is. The Black Series has been at least constant in this department. He has a rotation at the waist and has a bit of a more of an ab crunch, and not really an ab crunch, but more of a mid-torso bend, which is pretty nice. So it can kind of rotate side to side, arch back, and bend over a little bit. The belt is a sculpted piece, which is really nice, and it sits rather well. You can kind of rotate around depending on how you want it. I thought initially that it would come off from here, but it is one piece, so it does not come off. Not that you'd want it to come off. The legs go forward very well, and the bottom part of the jacket is much like a superhero cape and the soft pliable material that it is. It kind of gets bunched into this leg because of the holster, but he's really not getting in a seated position on the Tauntaun, so it's not going to hinder in the way of that. Has the T-jointed Hasbro splits here, which that's about as far as he's going to get, which is plenty due to what this figure requires being on a Tauntaun. He has the upper thigh swivel, double bend at the knee, which is a plus for him being on the Tauntaun. So that's really nice. And no rotation in the boot, and has the ankle rocker, and this hinge is really stiff. This one, not so much. So again, must be just this figure. But again, because this is not mine, I'm not going to overforce it. He holds his blaster really well. He has a sculpted trigger finger, which when you have a figure, you want him to be able to look like he is actually shooting his gun, which is nice. And to complete the look, really cool. So very, very cool. If your GameStop has one of these, they're running about $19.98 right now. So don't be fooled by the price tag. At least right at the moment, the guy I talked to at GameStop was not sure how long the sale was going to be going on. So they had two in stock while I was there, and so I was more than happy to pick this up for Anthony. So let's get Haun back on the Tauntaun, and we'll wrap up this review. All right, final thoughts on this guy. A Han Solo and a Tauntaun. Excellent two-pack. They're done really well. The leg on the left side of the Tauntaun is a tad loose, not too bad. It's not prohibiting this particular figure from being able to stand. You can't tell, but his tail is up off of the table in the back, so I've got his weight displaced right, which it really helps that he has an ankle hinge to be able to keep the Tauntaun upright. I've got a hand and a stirrup back here, and the other one up on top of the back. So, and I've got the visor up on top of the goggles up on top of his visor there, like he did in the movie. So that works really well too if you don't want the goggles down over top of his face. So this two-pack is great. Again, check your local GameStops for Star Wars Black Series figures. They are having a sale. It's an unannounced sale, so the prices should be reflected in their online, and they will honor what they have in store. And the guy said whatever they are online, that's what they're going to be in the store. So this is a 2014 figure, and they got a bunch of stuff during Force Friday, and this is one of the things that one of my local GameStops had. So today we've been taking a look at Star Wars The Black Series, Han Solo and Tauntaun. And as always, this is Rob for Rob's Rebellion and Rob's Rogues, and we will see you guys next time. Echo 3 to Echo 7. Han, old buddy, can you read me? Very, very cool. I am really impressed with this figure as well. This Black Series, when they said they were going to do, you can see the visor right there. When they said they were going to do 6-inch Black Series figures, the Star Wars purist in me was like, no, everything needs to be, oh, damn it. And has a bit of a almost mid-diaphragm. Apologize about that. Got a meowing cat that will not shut up.